Good morning. Thank you for being here at the Rollforming Show. Such interesting times. My name is Sharon Thatcher. I'm managing editor of Rollforming Magazine. And on behalf of the magazine and publisher Shieldwall Media, I would like to introduce your speaker, Shawn Huffman with Beck Automation, presenting software for Optimum production.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for coming. As she said, my name is Shawn Huffman with Beck Automation. Been with the company 11 years today, so happy anniversary to me. We're going to talk about different software programs, and when it comes to software, it's not just software per se. It's the controls. It's everything that goes into it. And the idea is to talk to you about the integration of all those different systems together. And there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. You're not going to walk out of here and say, aha, I know exactly what I need. It's all going to be based on your business, the size of your company. But the idea is to give you, questions to ask yourself, ask your vendors. So to get started, again, what is the right software for you? To answer this question, first you're going to have to look at, what are your business needs? Do I want an ERP or accounting software? Do I need design software? How much do I invest in these different programs? How long are these going to keep up with my business? So I may start off with just pad and paper, and that may work good for a while. I may start with QuickBooks. Again, that may work good for a while. At some point, you may need to move up, or you may stay with them forever. So it's really depending on your business goals. And the right combination of these are going to allow you to enter orders for accounting, create these cut lists, send those down to the operators so they can run the orders, receive that data back to relieve raw inventory, track labor, processing your invoices. So basically today, there's a lot of different things. We can make it very seamless from the beginning to the end. So we'll just kind of go through a few of these. So the first thing we're going to talk about are modern controls. So how can a newer controller help your operators? Because that's really what is running your business. You got to get the material out. Next one is going to be your ERP and accounting software. We're going to talk about design software. We're going to talk about the office, the shop production software. And we're going to talk about integrating all these together. So, to start, modern controls. Obviously on the left, we have very limited single batch controller. You're not able to download to it. Generally, they're not able to communicate to anything. The operator has to program those one at a time. On the right, we've got a retrofitted machine. You can see it's an older machine with a new controller on it. It's larger, touchscreen. It's got a lot of different features that are going to help the operators out. So what do you get with the new ones? You get larger screens for viewing and programming your orders. You can program multiple jobs as well. That color touchscreen, again, easy navigation. Ethernet connectivity. So now I can connect to my office. So I don't have to rely on the operator programming all my jobs. Again, that's going to take time, and it's also going to create errors. I can tie into different PLCs. I can assist with remote troubleshooting. And then I can also connect to these different ancillary products. So printers, scanners, other software programs. So those are going to be the benefits of having these modern controllers, where an older controller will not do that. So downloading from the office, that's going to be a big time saver. If I can download from the office, then I'm going to take that away from the operators. They're not going to have the downtime to program those orders. They're going to eliminate errors, and they're going to reduce that downtime. So this little drawing I use a lot. You got a customer calls up, they order 10 pieces 12 feet long. You guys end up shipping 12 pieces 10 feet long. It's an easy thing to do. One, it's going to upset your customer. Two, it's going to create repeat orders. So you got to create that order again if you're not able to stretch it. Coil tracking. So who here has in their ERP system where they track coil? Raise your hand. A lot of people just do it based on what's on the floor, and you go do counts every once in a while. So if you have a controller, especially if it can communicate to the office, you can track each individual lot number. And so to do that, you can manually input that coil. When you put it on the machine, you go to the controller, you manually input that number. Another option is to request that coil from the office. Third option is to scan that coil tag. And again, as we go down that list, you can see I'm going to reduce errors, increase efficiency every time I do that. So manual input of coil, there's some errors that can go in there. If I can request coils from the office, now I know that at least I have the right type of coil, and if I can scan that tag, that takes all the issues away. By tracking that coil, I can also do coil validation. So what I'm doing there is when I scan that coil and I press line start, it's actually going to look into your ERP system or your office to shop production software and verify that coil, the material of that coil, gauge, width, and color, matches the material for that job. And if it doesn't match, then it's going to display either an error or a warning. And those error warnings, they can require supervisor passwords. They can just be a warning. The operator acknowledges it. Or we can have what we would call customized validation with the ERP database. So multiple levels. Is it exact match? Is it approved substitute? Does it require supervisor password override? Or can it not run at all? All right. Other things we get with that is scrap tracking. So I'm tracking my coils. Now I can track the scrap as well. So in here, I'll show you up here. We've got, they do a manual shear, they do a quantity adjust. So a quantity adjust is where if I'm running and I have a bad piece of material, I say I want to make one less. What we do is we put that amount in the scrap. And we can actually prompt the operator to select from a reason. So did he create that for, it was bad paint? Was it the wrong length? Did he do a profile setup? So why did I generate that scrap? And what that's going to do is allow management to evaluate, and then they can make corrective actions after that. One other thing we can do with scrap is we can, with controllers, is you can have smart cut features. So I don't know who was in on the previous, where they were talking about pre-cut and post-cut lines. Is anybody here for that? So on a pre-cut line, basically I have a roll former full of material the entire time. And if I cut that last piece for a job, my roll former is still full of material. So we can have what we call a, a smart cut feature where it can automatically stop, notify the operator, hey, I've reached the end of my job, cut that material loose, and now I can run it out. And what that's going to do is, excuse me a second, with pull across here, I can eliminate all my scrap. So no scrap at all. That last piece comes out, it's the exact same length, or the right length, and I've had no scrap. Let's see what else we got here. Am I talking too loud, too quiet? I feel like I'm yelling here. All right. Predefined run orders. So another way we can do this. Every time that I have to change a coil, I'm going to generate scrap. Every time I do a profile change, you're going to have a little scrap. Every time I do a profile change, generally I'm going to have downtime. So there's downtime and there's scrap associated with all this. So in order to reduce those, I can actually set this to run by material and profile or profile and material. Can't really see this well, but this is a red job, this is a white job, this is another red job. So what I can have it set up is to run based on material. So I run this job, skip over white job, go to the red job. A lot of this is going to depend on, one, who's doing the scheduling. So if you have somebody in the office that is actually scheduling everything, they can send it down the way they want it run. Make the operator run it that way. Two, if I'm sending jobs down all day long, I may want it to run the most efficient way for my machine. So, deep breath, I'm talking too fast here. The material and profile is if I have a dual level machine and coil changes don't take very long, then, or profile changes don't take very long, I may want to run it based on material first. Run out all my material, I'm going to reduce the amount of downtime. If I have a rafted machine, or let's see, maybe a purling line, something that takes longer, I may want to run it based on profile than material. Again, all this is going to reduce coil changes, reduce scrap, reduce downtime. Let's see, profile validation. So along with the material validation, I can also have profile validation. So that can be done when a, let's say a dual level line, I raise the conveyor up and down to make sure it's in the right level. I can do this via just a simple input on the controller, or talk to a PLC for like a, let's say, automatic setup for a purling line. And again, it's going to notify the operator, hey, you're running the wrong level, it's the wrong profile, don't run this. It's going to reduce errors. Can also do employee tracking. So if I want to track by my employees, I can have them log in. And now everything that's produced, I can take it to a specific customer. Bundle type printers. So if I want to print a label off every time that I get done with an order, tell me what's on that. I can have information, when was it produced, what's the lift point, how much is the weight, what are all the panels in it. The benefit to doing it at the machine is if the operator rebundles a ticket, now I know that I have the right ticket on there. I know I have the right information in it. If you do it pre or before that, if the operator changes the bundles, now you got a wrong label. If you pre-print your labels from, let's say, an ERP system, again, it's a chance it goes on the wrong label. If I do it right at the time of completion, it's sitting on the printer, I take it off, I slap it on the material. I can also do that with coil tags. Printers, so part marking. I can use an inkjet printer or a label printer or a label applicator. So whatever I want to print, it prints the exact information for that specific piece that I'm running. All right, so that's really all on the controller side. Obviously, there's a lot more stuff to it, just to give you an idea of some of the things to look at. When it comes to the accounting software, we don't sell any accounting software. We integrate with a lot of different ones. We see what a lot of customers have. So just an idea to go through, ask yourself questions, find the right stuff for you. So what do you need? What do you want from the program? Are you looking for just a point of sale software? Are you looking for something that's multi-user? You're looking for something that has coil inventory? You're looking for something that has integration capabilities? So what portion of that are you looking for? And then the big thing is price. So QuickBooks, obviously, entry level works great, but it doesn't have coil inventory. How much does it cost? It's a lot cheaper than all your other options. So you gotta ask yourself, is this a one-time fee? Is this a reoccurring monthly or annual fee? And then what are the additional costs for users? So the next thing we'll talk about are gonna be these different levels. I broke it out into 3. There's probably more. You can break it out into more, smaller levels, but basically entry-level programs, QuickBooks. QuickBooks is it's a great program. We have a lot of customers that use it. We use it ourselves. The problem is it's not going to cover everything. There's things that you're going to need that are not going to be in the program. However, it may cover 50, 60, 80% of what you need, and it may be a great economical price, so let's go with it. Problem, it's not meant for the roll forming specific industry. So if I enter orders, I'm not entering the quantity and length. All I need to know is the total length. So it doesn't give me a price breakdown or a breakdown of each panel length. Integration capabilities, really nothing there. So it's not going to download to your controllers without a third-party program. Now there are a lot of good third-party programs out there that can give you some of these additional features. But again, you're going to something else and that builds into the price. Now you've got some mid to upper level programs. And so by a show of hands, how many people use QuickBooks? Is there any other programs that people use? There's Paradigm and I'll say Adjutant. Those are more the mid-level. They get up to the, where now I can keep track of my coil inventory. Now I can integrate with other ERP systems. So these programs are going to cover a lot more of your stuff, what you're needing, but they can be somewhat expensive. And so when I say moderately, where you're going from QuickBooks to the hundreds of maybe thousands of dollars, you're going to go into these programs and you're going to be spending the tens of thousands of dollars. But again, it's going to give you more of what you want. you can also, a lot of these programs will have different, I'll say, modules. So if I want just this portion of it, I can buy just this portion of it. And as my company grows, as I need more stuff, I can start buying those additional modules. So it's kind of a la carte pricing on that. Generally, they're going to be designed specifically for the metal forming industry. So you're going to have those benefits of those features that you're really looking for. And most likely they'll have the ability to integrate with your office-to-shop program. Those will be done with flat files or database integration. They'll have bi-directional information that can be set back and forth. And the next is going to be our top-level programs. So these are the ones that are going to be costing, instead of tens of thousands of dollars, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. And those are going to be your Oracle and your Epicor, and really you're buying an infrastructure, and then from there, you're paying for a third party to go in there and actually customize it for you. So it's generally going to cover all your requirements, but you got somebody customizing it specifically to your needs. It definitely is going to require a third party programmer, because they're the ones that are going to build the database and build the infrastructure so you can enter these orders. And again, because I have a third party coming in there and customizing it, it's going to have customized integration. So now I can send out to other office shop programs. So again, the big thing is, what do you need? Does it integrate? What capabilities does it have? Does it push and pull orders? So is it unidirectional or is it bidirectional? The main thing is, by getting one of these programs, now you're going to eliminate this double entry. If I got just a piece of paper, take that piece of paper, hand it out to the operator. Operator takes it, they type everything into a controller. There's issues for, obviously, the errors. There's also downtime associated with that. The next one is going to be design software. So again, evaluate your needs. So would I benefit from a design software? If I sell components, I don't need a design software. If I sell buildings, then I probably need a design software or something. And then, what is the right software for my product? There's a lot of different design softwares out there. So, do I sell post wood frame? Do I sell steel frame? Basically, am I looking for an MBS or am I looking for some other software program? And then, what is the cost of owning this program? So, there's obviously initial cost. Are there reoccurring fees? Most likely, yes. What's required training? And they take a lot of time to set up. Just like your ERP systems, there's a lot of investment, both time and money, that goes into these. So, just ideas as far as, do I have a purling line? If I have a purling line, MBS or Tekla, those are what are going to be able to design your buildings. If I do post frame, maybe an AppleCAD or a Smart Build. I think Smart Build's actually here today. And if I do steel framing, so studs, Struxsoft, Vertex, or Argos. So you gotta find the right software for your industry, what you're selling. And then integration capabilities. Does that software have the ability to export cut list? Obviously, I can design them all day long, but if I can't export that information, it's not gonna help me streamline my business, let's put it that way. And so when it does export, are they just CAD files or are they exporting actual flat files? So a flat file is kind of what I got here. It's basically human readable, it's text. Problem with CAD files is everything draws things different. So if I do a slot, is it 2 half holes with lines in between? Does it show the depth of it? So a lot of that stuff goes into play. Makes it really tricky for a computer to try to figure out what those are. So most companies are going to want some sort of a flat file to be sent. You want to make sure it does that. And then that takes us to the office to shop. So once a job is entered, whether it's in your ERP or just straight directly into your office to shop production software, we want to send that down to the machine. And again, we're going to eliminate these order entries. We're going to eliminate the downtime of the machine. So when I send a job down to the machine, I'm going to send the job, I'm going to send the material, I'm going to send the profile. Those are the 3 things that we have to have. operator needs to know what job am I running. They need to know what materials, what type of coil do I need to load on the machine. They need to know the profile, so how to set that machine up, what level to run on and such. We can also send user-defined information. So if I want to send the customer name, if I want to send a PO number, a ship date, any of that information, that way we can print onto a bundle, take it down to the machine. And again, with that software, you're going to be able to schedule these jobs. So you can see on the right, this is the list of all my jobs. This is how I can send. This is something that we're actually working on. We're just a drag and drop schedule. So now I can actually see, based on my machine, the speed it runs, when I take breaks, when do I think I'm going to complete these jobs, based on the lineal footage in the coil chain. Controller. So whenever I send a job down, the controller is going to create a production record, and that's for everything that that machine does. So they power the machine on in the morning, I get a production record, I know when it was powered on. They do a manual shear, line stop, line start, all that information is going back. So that's going to generate the production record, which is going to give me the ability to run these reports. And basically, once that's there, now I can utilize it, run reports, evaluate it, see what I can do to improve my business. Again, talking about coil tracking, I can run reports on my coils. So how much scrap did I have? What's the reason for my scrap? So we talked about, maybe I skipped over it, is every time that I do a manual shear, I can have the operator give me a reason. Now I can go through here and say, all right, how much unit of coil did I have? How much bad coil did I have? Do I need to call my operators and change the way I'm running? Or do I need to call my vendor and tell them that, you know, I'm buying bad stuff and getting rid of it? Also, I can see, when did I use that coil? What job did I use that coil for? Who was the operator running for running that material when it happened? So if I get a phone call, let's say in 5 years, and the customer says, all right, I just bought this 5 years ago, this is the order, I got paint peeling, I can go back into the records. I can see what coil was running for that. And if I wanted, I can go and see what other jobs are ran on that coil. And what that's going to do is, it's going to give you the ability to be proactive, call another customer, find out if they're having that same problem. Was it a spot on the coil? Did they pour gasoline on it? So, with coils, we can also do forecasting. So I can see, so this example is what we would call a coil forecast. This shows me, based on this material, can't see it very well again, but based on this material, this is how much I currently have in inventory. This is how much I need for the jobs that I currently have programmed. And this is how much is going to be remaining once I run those jobs. And those are live numbers, so I can always see how much inventory I have. I can also run historical and see, based on a time, how much of this pie did I use for white, red, and so on. Some additional features that you can get, and these production software is off the shop. They're always evolving, they're always adding new things. So one of the things we've recently added is the shipping. So if I want to say, this order needs to go on this truck or this route, and it needs to be delivered by this date, we can have a view and show you what's supposed to be on this truck this day. You can actually walk over, scan a bundle tag, has a barcode on it, tells you which truck it should go on, which route. You load them on the truck. Once that truck's completely loaded, you can see if you're missing anything. You can say, okay, let's send it out for delivery. And now you know what's off your floor. You can also do verifications, send that information back, and show it's delivered. Another one, trim optimization. So here, a lot of people have, obviously you have your folder, you have your trim roll former, you have all your blanks that you have to cut for that. So most customers are going to go out there and give it to the operator. The operator goes through and calculates all the different strip widths, decides how they can make that to get the least amount of scrap. And that works great if you have a limited number of strip widths. But the more you get, the more math you got to do, the more you got to take time it takes to figure that out. So trim optimization, what that's going to do is it's It's gonna give you the ability to go in, highlight a group of jobs, different parts, different strip width, different materials, tell it to create its own cut list, and it's gonna generate those based on what's gonna give you the least amount of drop based on your coil width. So it takes it all, again, takes it all out of the hands of the operator. If you wanted, you can print labels for each individual blank, take those over to the folding machine, scan that, and now you know you have the right blank for that piece that he's making. And we'll also track the scrap by square footage of drop. So again, just giving you more information to know how your coil is being used. Another thing we have here is machine maintenance tracking. So if you have a maintenance staff, do you know if their maintenance staff is doing all the preventative maintenance? When you get a machine, you're generally going to be given from the OEM a maintenance schedule. And so we can put that stuff into our software, and we can say, okay, this is my maintenance schedule. These are all the different things that need to be done on this machine. And here's the instructions. Here's a PDF document that my OEM gave me. Here's a picture, here's a video. Now the operator or the maintenance staff, they can actually be emailed, let them know, hey, you got this coming up, and they can go to that page. They can pull in the information, see exactly what they need to do. Let's see here. So all this can be based on whatever the schedule says. Linear footage, we know how much the machine ran, how much time has it been between maintenance, or how many press cycles. So again, we can notify them, so many press cycles or so many days or so many linear feet before it's required. We can email them after the fact. We can email their supervisor after the fact that it's not been completed. Some other things that we'll get with this, KPI screens in custom reports. So KPI screens are going to show you, key performance indexes. And then what that's hopefully going to do is show management. They know what's going on in the machine at all times. They don't have to be out there, and they can do things to fix this. So we can display the total production, the scrap, the downtime. We can create custom reports. So using an API, generally you're going to have a standard set of reports, but if you want something custom, since we have all those production records, we can just find out what you want it to look like, and then we can display it in that fashion. And what that does, it eliminates that one size fits all. Again, we have standard reports. It's not going to work for everybody. Everybody's going to want something different generally. So I've got a few slides here, just some standard KPI screens or custom reports that we've done. So this one's planned downtime by reason. It'll show you all your different reasons that you have and what's creating those downtimes. So if I see I got downtime of packaging, well, does it make sense for me to hire somebody else to do just the bundling or packaging? If I have a lot of low coil, well, how many times did that happen? And is that something that I can do to change that? Can I start running it based on material, grouping it by material? Here's some more. This just shows what my actual production is. So on the left, you can see the blue is what I've ran, the red is what I haven't ran today, and the green is going to be what I ran over what I estimated it to run. On the right, it's a little bit more detail, shows me what schedule and where I'm at for the day. This is one that we have for a customer. They wanted it broke down by hour. And they want to say, this is what I expect to run this hour. This is what I ran this hour. And then we can show you every hour what you did, how many coil changes, this one had, they said every time we do a coil change, I wanted to say, take 7 minutes off of my production time. So if I did 3 coil changes, now I'm 21 minutes less than what I would have been able to run. We would adjust what the throughput for the line was expected to be, and then we'd show you what it actually was. So any other downtimes do not count towards that. If they went over on their coil changes, then again, it would deduct from that. And then this one would be KPI screen for a specific machine. So this is one where somebody wanted to be able to walk by at any point, just look at this monitor and see what that machine has done for that day or that week up to this point. So again, they don't have to be out at the machine the entire time. One place that they can go and easily see it. Since this is a call to the office to shop software, they can actually be in their office and bring up this same screen and see what each machine's done. This one's pretty detailed. It's gonna show me, you know, OEE, so what's the efficiency of the machine, what's the weekly, daily, hourly, how much utilization am I getting out of this machine compared to what I should be. If I look at this dial, where am I at as far as my throughput? So if I want to say, you know, I need this machine to be putting through 1,000 feet an hour, whatever it is, they can come in here and see, are they producing 1,000 feet an hour? Are they way under? Are they doing better? So now that I've got my office shop software, I've got my ERP, I've got my controls, I've got my design software, or whichever portion of that you want, now the idea is to, again, integrate all this. So production, we gotta have orders. So this is information that we're getting from one of those other two programs. Orders need to be based on your cut list. So include job, name, profile. Raw materials. So if you want us to track the coil inventory, you can manually put those into the office shop software, or you can export those from your ERP system. It's gonna give you double checks on your inventory. Coil validation. Again, if I have raw material and connects, I can do those coil validations. And then labor. So machine uptime, employee tracking. File types. So I talked a little bit about not wanting to use CAD files, to use some sort of a flat file. Every program uses some sort of a different file, it seems like. So I'll just give you some examples. So this would be an example of a CSV file, our standard input. If a software program can export this, we're golden, we don't have to do anything. This one is from MBS. It's XML file. And so it's still human readable, but you gotta know what you're reading. So with this integration, we can write these, what we would call custom translators, and we can pull this different information in from these different fields. That way we can create your cut list. If there's punching, we can create your punching. This is another example of an MBS file. It's actually called a .out file. And so you can see it's a lot more human readable than the one on the left. It's gonna tell me what I'm actually making, my quantities, my lengths, where my whole locations are. This is an XML file, or a XLS file, so just a spreadsheet. It has multiple tabs, we're just pulling that in. And then our other one is the API. So API is just a way for two computer programs to communicate. They go directly to the database, so we look into one database, we send to the other. So there's programs out there, Paradigm I think is one, they'll actually use our API. So they send stuff directly to our database, they pull records directly out of our database. The benefit to us writing what we would call a translator is we can take any of these different file types and we can apply your own custom business logic to it. So if you give us the rules for bundling, we can base it off of quantity, we can base it off of weight. That way it's not coming from your ERP system, which generally it doesn't. You also won't require the sales staff to know how they're gonna bundle this. We can incorporate short part logic. So if I'm running purling line, if I have anything, generally the rule is, if you talk to the OEM, anything under 6 feet is not gonna run through a purling machine. So what they do is they do partial cuts. So they attach shorter parts onto longer parts. So we can create those rules based on what's the shortest part you can run, what's the longest piece you wanna run, what's the most pieces you wanna put together. Sometimes they'll say, if I do two 48-inch pieces, I can stick those together and I'm fine. Even with a leader only being 48. And then other things we can do is we can assign machines, we can assign scheduled dates, ship dates, anything that you're looking for. Again, you create the rules, and then we put it into that. And then from our production software to the ERP, again, if you have that bi-directional information, we can reconcile your orders. So once an order is complete, we send that information back to your ERP. Now they know they can go ahead and invoice that order. We issue raw material. So if you track your coil inventory, you can find out how much coil did I use off of this, both good and scrap, and then we reduce that material. And then I can also issue labor. We know how long the machine runs, so we can send in that information back if you track your employees, not your employees, but you track your labor cost per job. Again, that can be based on either actual uptime or started of a job to the end of the job. So how much time is the machine running, or how much time is spent between start and end. So in conclusion, modern controls, the latest technology, you're going to improve performance. ERP, you're going to evaluate your needs and the price and then its capabilities. Design software, which is best for your specific industry. Office to shop, you're going to have production scheduling and tracking. You're going to get machine and labor tracking. You're going to get coil inventory and tracking. You're going to get your reporting and then those additional features we discussed. And then with integration, can all the programs work together? So you're spending a lot of money on each individual program. You want to make sure they work well together. And then evaluate. So evaluate, just make sure you're making all the right decisions, for your specific business. And I think that is it. Does anybody have any questions?